Hey everybody, I'm Tammy Kiefer. I'm a licensed clinical social worker.
And my name is Desiree Grimaldi. Welcome to the Unguarded Minds podcast, where we talk about all the drama, trauma, and gritty things that life throws at you. Today we have a special guest, Kellie Rhymes. She is a confident, bald woman who has overcome her own struggles with hair loss to help other women facing similar challenges. She's a certified transformational practitioner, and through her coaching program, Limitless Mindset Coaching, she guides women to building their confidence and embracing their hair loss. She has personally experienced the transformation power of building herself up and has learned to let go of negative self talk and fears about how others perceive her. Kellie now walks with confidence and receives compliments and admiration from strangers. She is dedicated to helping other women feel free and empowered by their authentic selves. I love that. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
So, if there's any questions off limits, because we do go off the cusp, just be like, pass.
Okay,
Next question.
will do.
Uh, when did your hair loss journey begin?
Well, it actually began, or at least I started noticing it in my late 20s. But I'm sure it started before then. I just don't know when. But in my late 20s is when I noticed I had a small spot at the top of my head. And I just kind of went into denial for a little while and figured, oh, I could figure out how to get my hair to grow back in and what natural remedies can I use? Let me Google, let me figure it out, let me YouTube, and no, never figured it out.
So do you know what the cause was, or?
Yes. So I eventually went to a dermatologist and he told me that I have scarring alopecia. That's the nickname. So basically, scarring alopecia is when your scalp becomes damaged, your follicles die. Mine's in particular, I was told was due to hair care products and styling practices. So,
Really?
yes, yes.
Isn't
Wow.
that common culturally wise?
Yes, it is. So with the African American community, basically when I was younger, we were straightening our hair because we were trying to fit into society, right? So straightening our hair using relaxers, and those relaxers were damaging our hair, our scalps, all of the things, but we didn't know because this is a product that was marketed to us. We didn't know anything about any research. Now, I'm sure now there has been some research done, of course, but back then I'm talking about 80s, 90s. No, we were just all going to get our hair relaxed. We were getting it straightened and flat
Hot
ironed and all of the things. And come to find out as well, there are certain shampoos we can't use, conditioners. I think that's just across the board though. We learn about sulfites and things like that that we should not be using. So that's basically what caused my scarring alopecia. And when I, went to the dermatologist, I'm like, okay, well, what can I do about it? And he's like, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. But I still didn't
Wow.
want to accept it at all. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I think I can still get some hair transplants. I think I can still do something. But
Mm.
no.
So even if you did choose to try to do the hair transplants because that the follicles were damaged, it wouldn't take. Is that right?
Yes. So I actually went to a company and had a consultation with a doctor there for hair transplants. He
Hmm.
pretty much told me, and he ran tests and did a biopsy and everything. He said if I was to get a hair transplant, it would be a waste of money. So
Mm-hmm.
my hair that would be transplanted to the spots, which was at the top of my head, basically the follicles would just die and just come right back out. So he was like, don't do it, don't bother. And now that I'm older, because this was a while ago, like many, many years ago, but now that I'm
Mm-hmm.
older and I've done more research, I have learned that anybody who has scarring alopecia cannot have hair transplants.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember growing up like with super tight curly hair and
Mm-hmm.
relaxers where like people would always bring it up and my father was like, that's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Your hair's not. But a hairdresser, she's like, I got a new one. It is for you. I lost 16 inches of hair. It burned and just fell off.
Yeah.
I was devastated. I was like, are you sure? Should you take it out? And she's like, no, it's fine. And she went to comb and my hair was down to my waist and it broke at like shoulders
Oh, yeah.
and just fell off. I was like, oh,
Yeah. I remember
Wow.
getting
go
those.
straight. and it wasn't curly. And then I had to go get a perm.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember getting those scars just from the relaxer being left in my head too long, and having scars and things at the top of my head and all on my scalp. Yes, it was common. And we dealt with it. We were like, oh, because like you said, your stylist was like, no, we're just leaving it a little longer. So imagine when you
Mhm.
have tight, coily hair and they're
Mhm.
trying to straighten it, they're leaving it in for a very long time. And relaxers had different levels. They had regular, they had mild, they had super. Well, when you have really, really kinky hair, they were using super. So yeah, it was the strongest of relaxers. They were leaving it in, and it just caused damage. So yeah.
Mhm.
Best friend Paul, he was African American, and he was like, he would sit there and iron my hair with a clothes iron. But he was like, why don't you just let me use a hot comb? I was like, no. I was like, I've seen that done in the oil, because you put an oil on to
Yeah.
protect,
Yeah.
and then you do that, and the combs are so hot that the oil is literally like bubbling.
Yeah.
Believe.
Mm-mm.
It would have
Nope.
burned your hair out.
Yeah. I'm like, no. Now I just
Wow.
struggle with hair loss from COVID.
Oh, a whole nother thing, right?
And hormones.
And hormones. And that's the thing. There are so many ways that women are losing their hair, and I don't think people really realize it and pay attention to it. Not just alopecia, and many people don't even know about alopecia, and there are different forms of alopecia. You have
Mhm.
stress that causes hair loss, hormones, menopause, postpartum, medications, all
Mhm.
types of things cause hair loss in women. And it's like there are a lot of women out here just trying to figure it out, trying to cover it up,
Yeah.
trying to hide. They're
Yeah.
suffering emotionally, they're suffering mentally. And this is like, wow.
Mhm.
Okay, what do we need to do? Because this is the thing. Millions of women
Mhm.
around the world suffer from some type of hair loss. It could be female pattern hair loss, all types of things, right?
Mhm.
What are we going to do? Because society is promoting that you need to have this thick, flowy hair, and that's to be beautiful, and this and that. And it's like, no, but that's not reality. So how do
Mhm.
we redefine that standard of beauty? How do we
Yeah.
say, women, okay, this is happening. We can't let this affect your self-esteem. We can't allow this to affect your life and your
Yeah.
social, relationships and things like that. So we have to
Mhm.
push forward. And that's why I'm here. Like, I'm like, okay, I know I had to work on myself, and it's not easy at all. It's not easy because hair is a big thing. It's tied to identity, and it was tied to my identity, right?
Yeah.
So getting women.
Well, it's easier when you're pretty like you are, though.
Oh,
I
well,
mean,
thank you.
We are beautiful.
if you have like, I don't know, not everybody
But
can pull it off. So I could see the concern.
but you're right. It wasn't talked about, you know. I have a good friend she's now coming out and talking about how she struggled back in high school. I had no idea she was dealing with that in high school, and that was 30 some years ago, you know.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea, and it was such a I guess secretive, shameful, like
Yeah.
what's wrong with me? I don't everyone's going to think it's weird. No one talks about it, and yeah, so no one, but I guess it's like back then no one talks about anything, and
No.
way back when no one talked about anything. So I'm finally like we're getting to this place where it's like let's talk about it. Let's get this thing out there on the table.
Yes, definitely. And just it's freeing. Like once you start talking
Hmm.
about it, once you start dealing with it and accepting and embracing and doing whatever it is you need to do to push past, then it becomes a freeing experience. Because when I cut my hair off, that's exactly how I felt. And I've spoken to many women and they feel the same way. It's like when you're trying to cover up your hair loss, it's stress and it's anxiety, because it's like constantly, what do I look like? Does this wig look okay? Does my head wrap look okay? Whatever it is that you're trying to do I look okay? It's
Yeah,
constantly on your mind. So when you're able to
right.
let that go, oh, it's a freeing experience.
Wow, I just got goosebumps. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So did you go shorter? Did you were you just like I'm just done with it? I'm taking all of it off? Like what was your experience like?
Well, so two different experiences. I did have to cut my hair off. Let's see, the first time. And it was not by choice. It was because I had to. I got a hairstyle that took my hair out. So I had to cut my hair out off at that point. I didn't have a good experience because my mindset was like so bad. I was still attached to my hair. I still wanted that, hair to be beautiful. So when I cut it off, it was like I look like a man. I look ugly. Da, da, da. All of the negative came to me. So it did not last long. I ended up putting a wig back on maybe about a month and a half later, and just did not take that wig off for a full year, basically, when I went out in public. So that's how it affected me the first time. But the second time, when I actually prepared myself, I did go and take different stages to prepare myself. So I actually cut my hair down really low, like a little boy cut. And the spots that were thin or balding, I would use hair fibers to cover it up. And I just wore a little short cut just to get used to feeling, okay, all right, shortcut. It's almost bald, but not close, not quite. So I got comfortable with that. And then that's when I went ahead and was like, all right, I'm ready. Let's cut it off. And there you go. And I've been this way ever since. And that was 2019.
So it's almost choice. Like first time it wasn't your choice and it was just a reaction. And then the second time it was like, I'm choosing this. I'm choosing this. I'm embracing it. I'm ready.
Yes.
But a lot of emotional, I'd imagine anxiety and depression was just through the roof.
Well, it was before I actually just made that decision. It was.
Yeah.
It was a lot of insecurity.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't show it on the outside, I really did not show it. Maybe my close friends may have known because I would, we would have conversations because they were battling with hair loss and different things themselves due to thyroid issues and different things.
Yeah.
So it was always a constant conversation like, okay, I have an interview today. What is my hair going to look like today versus if I get hired, what will my hair look like? Well,
first day of work, here I am.
Conversation. Yes.
So help all women, like it doesn't matter what's causing their hair loss. You're just there to support and empower them, right?
Correct. It does not matter. It could be someone who is experiencing or suffering from cancer at this moment and, is experiencing hair loss. It doesn't matter because hair loss is hair loss. We don't want it to happen. We are all devastated when it does start happening and we're like, okay, it's the same emotions, the same. And I'm not going to say everyone goes through exactly the same experience, but very similar. Everybody is going to say, all right, what do we need to do to fix this? That's the first step.
Yeah.
What can I do? What can I go buy? What can I use?
And there's always somebody looking to take your money. It's buy this oil, buy that oil, put this mask on, blop. Don't.
That serum, don't wear a hat, do wear a hat.
Like, what can I do?
Right.
Yes. And I mean, it's like, you don't know if this stuff works or not, and you're constantly spinning. But when I say, when I'm like, okay, I'm done and I'm ready to just let the hair go. You know how much money I saved?
We spend $120 on shampoo. My kids have my hair too. I'm like, we spend $120 on shampoo and conditioner in this house.
And that's just shampoo. So imagine a wig that's a nice quality wig. Those can be hundreds of dollars. Just putting the wig on, like keeping it adhere to your head and different things you have to buy and different techniques. It becomes expensive. Trying to just hide and cover it up. But I do understand everybody's not going to be comfortable cutting off their hair and just being bald. I do get that. So I'm not here to say, hey, women, let's just all go bald. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, let's get you to the point to where you're comfortable. Whatever that may look like, let's get you there. So if you say, hey, I want to wear a wig, I want to continue to wear my wigs, I'm okay with that. But let's make sure you're confident with that wig. You're not constantly thinking, does this look right? Let's go shop and look around and get you the right wig that looks good on you, because we've seen some bad wigs and right? So let's do those things so that you can be the best person that you can be, because you have other things to do in this world. And hair is not what you're put on this earth to worry about, right? You have work to do. So let's get past this thing that's happening and let's get down to the work you need to be doing in this world. And not only that, I help people in general with authenticity. Like, hair is my story. That's why I can relate and connect with women, and women always walk up to me who are experiencing hair loss. That's my story. But in the end, whatever may be happening with you that is affecting your confidence, your self-esteem, I can still assist with that. So I just want to make sure
Hmm.
that's clear as well.
Yeah, yeah. So did you always help people? Has that been your career? Did you have a different career and then things transformed?
So I've helped people in different capacities, but yes, my career has transformed. My background is really like in business and real estate investing. That's
Hmm.
my skill set. So I've been in real estate investing for a long time, and I actually used to do some coaching in it, and I still do a little bit, but mainly
Hmm.
my real estate stuff is like 10% of what I do. But yes, I've always worked with people or helped people in some capacity, because even with the real estate investing, it's still about how do I help someone who's losing their house, or how do I, find a house for someone else who needs a place to stay. It's all about still helping. And
Hmm.
even on the coaching side, people who want to learn the business and all of that. So yes, I've always
Hmm.
been in the business of helping in some capacity.
Okay. So when did it shift into really focusing on women and empowerment and confidence and authenticity?
Well, it shifted when it was in my heart, really. I had a voice that kept telling me for a very long time, you need to start talking about hair loss. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that.
Mm.
I'm not sharing my story. I'm not comfortable. That's not my mission. I'm sticking to real estate. That's what I know. That's my skill.
Hmm.
Right. And then when it kept coming up more and more, and then I started feeling it like, okay, I need to serve at a higher purpose. And then I recognized that the coaching in the real estate space was just a stepping stone for me. It was for me to learn some things and get a foundation so that I can do something more. And I got to that point to where I'm like, okay, it's time to make the shift. And it was really me and the creator, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. It's just like, all right, what am I supposed to do now? Because obviously
Mm.
I'm seeing things change and shift in my world, and it's moving in the direction of helping women with hair loss, or helping women in general be themselves. So how do I do this? Because I said, what does this look like? This isn't something I'm used to. So I just started going down that road.
And
I haven't looked back, and I'm still on my journey. Don't think that I have it all figured out. I am still on my journey. I'm
mhm.
still like, okay, what's the next? What do I need to be doing? Should I be, maybe trying to do a retreat, or should I be doing a workshop? Like, I'm still kind of like, okay, what is the best way to serve the women?
Yeah, yeah.
Do a course on how
Well,
to pick the right wigs, if that's what you're gonna choose.
Oh, that would be a good one. But I think that would be better as like a one-on-one kind of in-person consultation. I need to see the wig on you.
Yeah, but they could send you a picture.
They can send a picture, but when you put a wig on,
They could send you what their hair looked like when they were
okay,
happy with it. Send you a picture of their current situation.
okay.
There's some things there
There's some
that would
things,
work.
okay. I can think about that a little bit more.
Because I see all those damn wigs on TikTok all the time, and I'm like, you don't even know how it's gonna look when you get it. I'm gonna spend this money. I gotta
oh,
pick and return it. I'm
Exactly.
gonna have to do this.
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
And
That's
they're
why I'm like,
hot.
they need to have it on. I need to see it in person. Or, like I have to see
Yeah.
it on them, because it may look nice on the picture, but when you
Hmm.
put it on, it's like, woo, no.
Like buying a bathing suit.
They're so hot. Like I bought those like clip-in extension things. I was like, they are heavy. They're hot.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can't get them wet. Like I would be afraid to go in the pool.
Yes. And those are all of the things you have to think about. Like,
Mhm.
when you go on vacation, all right, how am I going to make sure my wig is secured if we go swimming? Like those are just it's just constant little thoughts
Mhm.
that you have to think about and figure out. And it gets taxing on you. You get to the point
Mhm.
where you're like, okay, I don't even want to deal with this anymore. Can I just go outside and be okay and be free?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
from women that were alcoholic, like my mother, her mother, like alcoholics, and they have really bad hair loss,
Hmm.
self-inflicted. But I remember, like I didn't see her very often, but when I seen my mother's mother, I'm like, she looks like she has roadkill on her head. Like, what is she doing? Like, it was
Oh,
horrible. But I mean, she had that same wig. My mom says since she was a kid. Like,
oh,
Like, it was bad.
Oh,
I was
Yeah.
like, geez, from Aquanet, that thing never moved. It was bad. And so,
No.
I mean, as a kid though, growing up, like that was until I mean, it didn't take me long to figure it out, but like until I realized like, oh, that's self-inflicted. That is what they're doing to their body.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was always a fear of mine. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be bald and like have roadkill on my head by the time. Then when COVID hit and I started losing my hair, I really panicked. So I was like, it's happening. This is what's happening.
mhm.
And so I've been very gentle with it and trying to baby it, but it's a real fear for sure. And definitely not something that I think I would handle with grace when it happens.
Oh yeah. So when you say your hair came out due to COVID, like you had COVID and it started coming out, or did you get like the
I know.
like
I
how?
had COVID. I got COVID, and then within a month and a half, I was pulling like clumps out when I was washing.
Wow.
And I went to the doctor and I was like, something's wrong. My hair's, she's like, it's happening to so many people who had
Really?
COVID.
Too with COVID. Yeah.
And then my hairdresser, she's like, I'm still helping people repair their hair from like 2021.
Oh
That,
goodness. Wow.
and so the doctor's explanation, they're like, when you get really high fever, you get really, really sick, that can happen. I didn't get a fever when I had COVID.
Okay.
COVID
So
was just so weird, though. I mean, there are so many things.
I was like,
Yeah.
so that doesn't line up. And then of course I had COVID like 2 or 3 more times after that.
Okay.
Not as bad as the first time, but I'm like, is it going to start falling out again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think one of those other times it did mildly, nothing like the first time, but yeah, I mean, it's something that a lot of women are going through after having COVID. I didn't get the shot, so I don't know if that made a difference for anybody. I don't think it did, because I know a couple people who had the shot and they still lost hair as well. But
Okay.
I mean, that was huge for the hairdressers are like, that is 90% of our clientele right now.
Wow. Now I did hear about people who got the vaccinated and they were losing hair because of they were saying because of the vaccination, but I didn't know exactly what was what. So this is the first time I'm hearing that it was actually just because of you having COVID. Like, oh, okay, got it. So
Yeah.
interesting.
I had it a little when I had COVID. I remember seeing it. And then my big one was being on hormones after menopause. And I got the pellets. And the pellets, you can't really, well, they can monitor, but you don't know how it's going to affect your body.
Mm-hmm.
And that testosterone, I guess I was on too much testosterone, but who knew?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the male pattern baldness, so on the sides and then in the back. But I just started feeling, I'd wrap my hair up and throw it up in a scrunchie, and I could wrap it 3 times instead of 2, and I could wrap it, and I was like, it's just like, what's going on? And it was, and I went in, and the lady was like, oh yeah, we also sell this serum that you can buy to help your hair grow back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, that's made by the same people who made the hormones. And I'm like, wait a second, do you tell anybody like this is a thing? And she was like, yeah, people just would rather feel better, their sex drive's higher and whatever, and they'd rather. And I'm like, well, I don't know, like I'm gonna choose having, not a lot of hair loss. And why don't you tell people about this stuff? But it was, no, here's this $70 product that you
There's
can
the
buy that
problem
might
that
help.
will tell you
Yeah.
the solution.
Wow.
But yeah, and then once those pellets are in there, you got to wait for them to go out. So then I went on this thing to try to make the testosterone lower, and who knows, then you're like chasing,
Mm-hmm.
a solution to something. But yeah, I mean, I gotta, maybe, I don't know, it feels kind of shallow, feels kind of, but I think that my hair is definitely something that's important to me, and I was having bad dreams and nightmares, like
Yeah.
it's a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, I just, my heart goes out to when you don't have control over something in your life and it is impacting you so incredibly negatively, and my heart goes out because it affects the layers.
Oh yes, but you're losing a piece of yourself, and it's
A
you
piece of
can't control it.
yourself.
You can't
Mhm.
control it. But this is just an example. When I say there are so many women experiencing hair loss that we don't even know it. We have 3 women right here on this call. All
Yeah.
have experienced hair loss in some form
Yeah.
or fashion, and it was different ways. I know you guys said you had
Yeah.
COVID, but still yours was hormones as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So imagine, it's just,
And you said the thyroid and the stress. I mean, who doesn't
yeah,
have anxiety and stress going on right now?
Well, and then your hair
So
starts falling out, so now you have even more stress.
yes.
exactly. I did. I was like, stop stressing about it. And then my doctor's like, the more you stress, the more it's going to fall out. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, then medicate me. I don't know. Do something because I can't make it stop.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, but you're right. And I think our listeners, I mean, I would ask you, if it's not you, how many people do you know who have dealt with hair loss for whatever reason? The bottom line is my hair is falling off my head and I can't do anything about it.
Yes.
And that's overwhelming.
Yes. And that emotional turmoil. Like you said, you had nightmares about it, dreams, and it's constant thoughts and negative thoughts. So those are the things I work with women on. I work with the mindset to say, okay, how do we eliminate these negative emotions, this negative, these negative charges, and this identity that you have adapted to, like I did, like I accepted it. I had hair. That was my identity. And if I didn't have hair, I was not cute. So how do we change that identity? Because some cases your hair will grow back and it will get thicker, whatever, you can find the solution. But in many cases, it will not. So what do we do then? What do we do
Mhm.
when we know it's not coming back? Like mine is not coming back. So we have to go ahead and move forward. And it's just like, yeah, we don't want those things to affect us long term. We got to deal with it. Just like
Yeah.
anything else, any
Yep.
other trauma or anything you have in your life, you have to deal with it so you can be a healthy person.
And do you feel like culturally, societally, do you feel like we're getting better as far as getting out of that box? Like, this is what you have to look like. This is what your hair has to look like. Do you feel like it's
No.
getting better? Or is it getting worse? Do you feel like it's getting worse?
Have you seen a Pantene Pro V commercial?
Exactly.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
They're all the same. And let's bring in social media. We have these Instagram models and, all of these people who are getting money because of their pictures
Yeah.
and how they look. And don't get me wrong, there are some women out there who are bald and still, posting their pictures and modeling, and they're beautiful and all of the things. But the majority,
The sliver of.
yeah, there's a blueprint. You got to have the long hair. It has to be thick. You have to have the lashes. You have to have these plumped up lips. It's like everybody is almost like cookie cutter, and that's not realistic. That's not even. It
Yeah.
doesn't even look good anymore.
And most of the ones
Right.
that do have the beautiful flowing hair, it's not real.
Yeah,
They have so many added extensions and everything to it.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Extensions.
Which and that's a part of it too. Like when you are having hair loss and then you go and get extensions put in, you lose even more hair when they have to take them out.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
That's so
then,
much trauma on your scalp.
Yes.
because growing
Yeah.
up, I grew up in a very cultural diverse area, but I used to get my hair braided all the time. And I was like, y'all are making my forehead huge just because it's pulling. And so just that tension and pulling, and the extensions, that rips hair out. Even having it braided, you lose a lot of hair because it breaks because it's tight. So it's like, even when you think you're trying to cover it up, you're doing more damage than what you originally started with.
Right. Right.
And
Even your hairline with the wigs, like if you don't wear the right protection, your hairline can, start going back. And the braids, like you said, people are losing their edges. You hear this all the time. They're losing their edges and they're panicking. But you're losing your edges because
you'll see people's foreheads start back here because they've had their hair braided so tight, so long. And you see it, and they start at babies. These little babies are sitting there getting it done.
Yes. And that's
crying their way through it.
That is a cultural thing. I can say that right now. As African Americans, we will braid our girls' hair because it's easier to manage their hair. And it's nothing wrong with braiding. It's just like you just can't do it too tight. And that's the problem. Doing it too tight and pull the tension, that is what's pulling the hair out. So I think people are now more aware of that now. People who are styling and doing different things, they're more aware, but that doesn't mean it's not still happening.
So the changes aren't happening, the awareness is becoming a little more, but people aren't taking the action to fully embrace and accept, is
Yeah.
what
I
you're
think
saying.
everybody's probably striving for what they think and pushing the information and awareness down because it's not what they want to hear.
Right. I mean, you have different women. You have different women who are going to take it different ways. You are going to have the women just like myself, like, okay, you know what? I'm tired of this. But it also, on top of that, it comes with a certain age, certain maturity. When you become that person or that woman where you're like, you know what? I don't care what you think about me. That comes
Yeah.
with a certain maturity level, right?
Right.
But for those women who haven't reached that level yet, or they're just very, very attached to their identity with the hair, that's the
Mm-hmm.
struggle. They don't want to
Mm-hmm.
accept it, and they're going to continue to try to figure it out or hide or whatever. And I don't like to say hide because it kind of sounds bad, but that's the truth, because that's what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're
It's
hiding
avoidance.
loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Avoiding reality.
Avoiding the emotion and the reality of what's going on. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it's just time out for it. It's time. We have so much that we have to deal with in life, period. Let's not stress about our hair. Let's not. Let's do something different.
I love that when you said you have so much more to do while you're here on this earth. What, and it just like that struck me when you said that, because how much time and energy is lost worrying about what other people think, worrying about what you look like, worrying about if it's on straight, worrying about if it falls off, worrying about all of it. Like
Yeah.
it's just so, we just were talking to someone about body image and the whole thing, and it's just like, I think back in my life, like how much time did I waste just,
Yeah.
striving for this perfection, whatever, that doesn't even exist anyways.
Yeah.
And you're right, there's just so much more for people you're here for a reason. Like, what's your reason? Because it's not to worry about what other people are thinking about you.
No. No.
That's their business, not yours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let's take it a
Yeah.
step further, because let's talk about relationships.
Yeah.
Women are, whether it's romantic or not, but we can talk about the romantic side. You're experiencing hair loss and you're not in a relationship and you want to meet somebody. What does that
Yeah.
look like? That's another worry. That's another worry.
Yeah.
Or you could be in a relationship with someone, then you're losing hair. How do they feel about me now? Are they still going to be attracted to me? Another
Mm-hmm.
worry. It's like all of these things just continue to come up.
It's
Yeah.
an easy way to weed out the shallow ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When I was going through it, my husband's like, just shave your head and start over. I'm like, what if it doesn't grow back? I'm not, shave your head. I'm not talking to you. But
It's true. It's true. So then where's your confidence when you get out there to go try and date? And how much are you honoring yourself? And is it just like oh, you're the first person that's accepted me. This is it. This is it. And it could be a
Right.
horrible relationship.
Exactly. And we don't want that. We do not
Mm-hmm.
want that. We want you to have the confidence to say, no, I don't care if I don't have hair. I'm still a beautiful woman, and you're not going to treat me any kind of way. Just like if you had hair, you need to have the same standards and the same,
yeah, it
self-respect
doesn't
for
make you
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. So yeah, we don't want women choosing people just because, oh, you pick me because I'm
Right.
bald and you're attracted, or you say you're attracted. No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think to like what you said, the maturity level too, because there's kids that are born with alopecia. There's kids that get alopecia in second and third grade. If these children can get through school with mean other little children,
Yes.
a grown woman can get through adulthood,
Yeah.
and go out and meet people. But I mean, alopecia can happen to anybody, and it does happen at very different ages
Oh,
too.
yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of these kids, they've had hair their till fifth grade, and then all of a sudden they lose everything. Like there's no determination of when it happens. But they still walk around with their confidence. And if they could do it, that's a logical adult.
Yes.
Maybe when you're in it, you feel like you're the only one. And what, to your point, being able to talk about it, get it out there, make it, normalize some of the feelings that go along with it, makes it easier for people to say, I've kind of dealt with that too, you know, and just talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even when I share my stories like on social media, just stories of things that have happened to me since I've cut my hair off or when I cut my hair off. Like there are always people who are like, thank you, or like they just want to hear something positive. And sometimes it could be negative. I do have negative stories about how people reacted to me, but I also have positive ones. I like to give both sides. I like to be very realistic, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, having or seeing someone who is confident without hair helps the next woman say, okay, it's possible. And
Yeah.
especially when they see me with my spouse, they're like, oh, you know how many looks I get from men and women? Because at first they're going to look at me anyway, because they're like, oh, she doesn't have hair. And okay, I'm used to that. But then when they see me with my spouse, they're like, oh, and she has a man. Like, there are people who are really shocked. They will
Wow.
stare, and we're just like loving it all. We're just good, having a good time, and they are staring because they just can't believe, like, she doesn't have hair, but she's still pretty, and then she has a man on top of that. Well, wait a minute, that's not supposed to happen.
Like, and you have hair, and you're still ugly inside.
So did
So
you go through, yeah, were you already with your husband now when you decided to, so
No,
how did this happen?
we
Like what was
actually
your process?
we actually met online. And this was
Okay.
another part of me cutting my hair off for the second time and really embracing it and saying, okay, I'm making this decision, because I was married and my husband passed away. So there was a period of time where I didn't
Wow.
date, and I didn't, I just was like, okay, whatever. But when it was time for me and I was ready to start dating, part of that process was, okay, if I'm going to start dating again and I'm going to be serious about this,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a difference between dating and not being serious and dating and being serious. And I was
Right.
dating and not being serious
Yeah.
for a little while. But when I
Nothing wrong with that.
right, it's nothing wrong with it. But when I decided to say, hey, I want to be serious and attract a real authentic relationship, well, how can I do that if I'm not authentically being myself?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to attract anyone and they see a picture of me with hair and then they meet me in person and I don't have hair, and then there's a
Mm-hmm.
problem. No, I want you
Mm-hmm.
to see me exactly who I am, exactly the way I am. So we met online and my pictures were just like this,
Mm-hmm.
and he was attracted and he reached out to me, and we were friends at first, and then we ended up getting into a relationship, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't
Yeah.
think, ladies, you cannot attract anyone with a bald head or
Absolutely.
with short hair or whatever. Your confidence is going to show. Your inner beauty, that glow from your confidence is going to come out. And that's what people will see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this might be not off topic, off limits maybe.
Okay.
But do you hold any resentment for the person who took care of your hair or any of that growing up?
No.
No.
And the reason why is that this is what we were all doing. I can't say, and I'm 44, so let me just make sure, because if people think I'm younger than what I actually am. So in the 80s and 90s, when I grew up in early 2000, African American women were getting their hair straightened, period. That's just what it
Mm-hmm.
was normal. So no, I don't. It's not like the stylist knew that this would take my hair out. They didn't know. I don't even know if studies were being done back then, right? About the products and all of these things. I don't know if they were or not, but I'm sure the stylist didn't know. So
Mm-hmm.
I also think too, and this goes back to the spirituality, because it's like, you go through things for a reason. And
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to lose my hair. Of course, I would
Right.
love to have hair, but I'm good without hair. Like, but it took me to
Mm-hmm.
go through this experience to say, actually, I love not having hair. Like,
Yeah.
it's so much easier. I feel good like this. But of course, I see some people with hairstyles. I'm like, oh, that would look cute. I wish I could do that. But
Mm-hmm.
the reality is, no, I can't. And that's just it. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's resentment going to do for you anyways, you know?
It's not right. It's not
And
gonna help. I can't go
Yeah.
back to those stylists and be like, hey, I'm suing you or I'm doing this.
Right.
No.
So I guess my question
Yeah.
was more for like if a parent was the one doing the hair, like that kind of, and through that journey, like not that you would still be resentful, but like I feel like you went through a grieving process, so you have like the anger and the all those things,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of kids have their parents are doing their hair, they're not necessarily going to a salon, and if
Okay.
something like that happened was kind of what I was thinking
So
when I asked.
my mom could not do hair. So she was not really styling my hair. It was either I had like a family member who may have braided my hair or I went to a stylist. It was always really someone else. She was not good at hair. So no, I don't have any regrets or anything like
I'm
that.
just
I don't.
thinking, like, I'm sure when you work with people, like, if they're following trends or they're doing certain things that cause, like, there would be some anger there. Like, why'd you
I,
braid it so tight? Why'd you do that? If you
well,
had not,
the anger comes in not so much about the styling practices or anything like that. The anger comes in more around I'm trying to fix this, but I can't. You
Mhm.
know, I'm trying to fix this problem. I'm trying to get my hair to grow back. I'm trying to use these products, but it's not working. That's where the anger and the frustration comes in.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, I can't say that every woman will be like, oh, no, I'm not worried about, the styling practices and how that led to my hair loss. I can't say that because I can't speak for every woman. I have not seen that though. I have not.
Mhm.
So that's just my experience. Not to say that
Mhm.
there aren't women who feel that way.
and do you have kids?
I do.
Do you have any girls?
I don't. Two boys.
Two boys. How
I
old
was
are
gonna,
they?
what would be the difference of
So
how you would do things?
if I had a girl,
Yeah.
if I had a girl, what would be? So I know how to do natural hair because I had to do it my own. So when I was growing up, I always had to figure out my hair if I couldn't get to a stylist. So I know how to do hair. I know how to do it naturally and use natural products because I had to do it for myself. So for me, if I had a girl, it would not be a problem. Her hair would be natural. I know how to style it.
Mhm.
We've come a long way because
Yeah.
even still, when I started losing my hair in my late 20s, early 30s, I did not know how to style my natural hair because I was so used to it being straightened. I could do that all day long. But when it was in its natural state, I had no clue what to do. And that led me to getting locks if I couldn't, and just growing it out that way. But then when I cut off the locks, then it was YouTube University. So I could figure out how to style my hair and look at videos. You know how many videos I looked at? Had to learn some things. And that's most African American women, at least. That's most of us when we really did not know how to style our natural hair because it was not a thing until maybe the mid 2000s, late 2000s. That's when more African American women started wearing their hair natural. And now it's a thing. Like now it's nothing. But there was a period of time where yes, I had to learn how to style my hair. So therefore, no, it will not be a problem if I had a daughter.
And I love that you've got two boys because you're showing them how women are authentic and how important it is for women to be authentic. And how old are your boys?
4 and 7. So
Little ones.
yes, and I've had to
So
have a conversation with the 7-year-old because he's like, "Why don't you have hair?" Or, if a kid is
yeah.
like, your mom is bald," and I'm like, "I'm okay with it," but he doesn't quite understand. So I've had to have
Mhm.
conversations like, "Yeah, I don't have hair. I will not be growing it back."
Mhm.
Like this is what it is, and it's okay. I like it. I'm confident with it, and he's fine now. I just had to explain it. And my 4-year-old,
Right.
he'll come and kiss me on my head. He's so sweet.
But it is. I have boys too, and I just feel like it's our job to raise them to respect women
Yeah.
and accept and respect and honor and cherish and value and so you're well on your way.
Oh, definitely.
Mhm.
They are exposed to just a lot of diversity anyway. And I kind of think
Mhm.
that's just the world we're in
Mhm.
nowadays. things they get exposed to that are just out of my control and out of my hand, but it's the world. So,
Yep. Yeah.
you
And
know,
communication is the best thing to do. You're not avoiding
exactly.
talking about something difficult. You're talking about it and again, normalizing, giving permission for feelings, and yeah, I
Yeah, I
just feel
think
like that's so important.
the most challenging thing is really just trying to explain something in a way that they can understand.
Because it's their brain development is like,
Right,
yeah.
right. But yeah, otherwise they can ask me. I will tell them. It's just breaking it down so they can understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we have your website, your Instagram, your Facebook, and your TikTok. We are going to link that below so everybody knows where to find you, how to connect with you,
Okay.
and how to get that confidence, because there are probably more women going through it than not,
Yes,
and they need to face it and start becoming okay with it. And it may not mean that they end up bald, but they still need to be okay with what's going on in their life.
exactly, exactly. And thank you for guys for doing that for me.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for being here today.
You're welcome.
Love your energy, love your smiles. Just I love everything that you brought today. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. Thank
Thank you.
you.